All right, so we'd like to welcome everyone to the Hierarchy of Function in Group X. So I'm Dr. Dianne McCaughey, and you can see my co-host, Debi Pillarella. We were the ones that co-authored our phages certification, and every summit we do a Group X together. We call it the Di and Deb Show. So hopefully we're gonna have some fun, even though we're not together. We're sad because Group X is all about that, but we will do the best that we can, and like Robert said, this might be our new normal. So my PhD is in the certification of gerontology, the study of aging. I own and operate a geriatric rehabilitation and corrective exercise program in Stuart, Florida. And I have been a master trainer for FAI and ACE. Deb and I started back in the day with AFA. So we have been together a long time as colleagues. So Deb, I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Absolutely, and welcome, and thank you again for joining us today for our session. Again, like Di said, I've been around kind of one of the gold certified group exercise instructors back in the day in the 80s. So I've definitely worn out a few pair of gym shoes doing this profession. So again, welcome if you're new or if you've been kind of a mainstay in the industry. Again, as we evolve, we all change and we evolve into this wonderful arena of our functional aging space. Presently, I am the Director of Bariatric Services for a community healthcare system in Northwest Indiana. Part of my, passion is to continue to give back, which is why we're here today. I also work very closely with our medical fitness center called Fitness Point, and I'm so excited to have our Director of Programming there, Nikki Sarkeesian, is joining us. She is also a functional aging certified instructor, and she runs our program there called FLEE, Functional Living Exercises for Everyone, which is one of our variety of classes that we do offer. So again, I welcome you and hope that you can enjoy and most importantly, take something back to your own people right after our session today. Thanks again.
Thank you, Deb, and thank you, Nikki, for joining us in this socially distanced society that we're in. So we're lucky to have Nikki. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You have been mic'd off, you've been camera'd off. Once we get into the activities, we'll keep the mics off because it'll be pretty chaotic, but we would love to see your video. You don't have to if you don't want to. Depending on how much time we have at the end, we'll try to do a Q&A. If we do not have time, our emails will be at the end. Please send us emails. We want to answer all your questions. So we're going to start out by looking at impairment level factors for physical function. So Cody and Dianne came up with these when they first developed the FAI or the FAS certification for personal trainers. You'll go to many different organizations, you'll see different ones. You'll see a little color diagram in our next slide, and it'll put all this together. So they took balance, mobility, neuromuscular, cardiorespiratory, musculoskeletal, and cognitive emotional. So Ryan Glatt is speaking here. He has developed the first and only certification in brain health for trainers. So he's going to be revamping a little bit of the cognitive emotional. It may be labeled differently within a short period of time, but we're going to be looking at that together today. Dan and Cody did an amazing job of putting this beautiful colored map for us. It's even expanded in this slide. It has little legs. So those are your 6 domains of function. So in the musculoskeletal, it is not just strength. You know, we look at endurance, we look at power, we look at speed. And in some of the activities that we do today, we're going to cover every single one of these and notice how a lot of these things intertwine. So if you're lacking a musculoskeletal, then you probably aren't going to be able to do as much mobility work, etc. So they do relate to each other. We're going across the board. To the left, the neuromuscular. We're going to be covering that today, looking at coordination and motor control and reaction time and all of those things that go into having good balance and being able to manipulate independently as we age. Cognitive emotional, as I had talked about, we're going to look at 4 specific aspects that Ryan has in his certification, and our drills will go accordingly. So it's not just about memory. When you look at problem solving, looking at executive function in the frontal cortex of the brain, we're going to look at attention, processing speed. Again, that may relate over to some musculoskeletal. So these are all very, very interactive with each other. And as one goes down, they all go down. Mobility. Can you run? Can you walk? You know, Deb and I talk at some of our workshops. I am the joint problem child. 3 knee surgeries, a hip replacement. My other hip is bad. And that was because of the sports that I did when I was younger. Deb actually had several strokes, vascular strokes, and her balance was challenged. So as we get into the balance thing, you may notice that she's a little wiggly, but doing much better. Yay.
Yay, a lot
Good.
wiggly, but thank you.
Go, Deb. So your age doesn't matter. It's all of these impairment factors. So we talked about balance. Balance is not necessarily standing on a BOSU. We need to look, you know, how is your vision? What's going on in the vestibular system, the bottom of your feet, somatosensory. So if you're supinated and you don't have much stability in your feet, probably standing on a BOSU is not correct for you. So we want to hit every single piece of these domains scientifically and specifically for that client. And the cardiorespiratory, whether you're aerobic or some of your clients may be more fit getting anaerobic, and some of them that play tennis and sports can actually go into the CP system. So again, very specific to the client. So when you do program design, especially in Group X, because you have such a variety of people, you need to look at all those domains. We're going to really work on progression and regressions. You guys know how to progress. Do you really know how to regress? Then Dan and Cody did another phenomenal job. And I always thought I knew about gerontology until I met these guys, and they have really honed it down in the fitness world. So we really only had 5 domains to start out with. This is the hierarchy that we're talking about, and you may get a huge variety in your Group X class. So if you don't know what's going on with each of these levels of hierarchy, it's going to be much harder for you to be specific, to keep them safe and effective. So if you look at the elite athlete in the green at the top, they're probably not coming into your Group X class. They may want some coaching or some other things, or they may come in there just to play around a little bit. Your fully fit may come in, or they may be doing things on their own. Most of those 6 domains are up to speed with the fully fit. Sadly enough, I now consider myself to be semi-fit, even though I was an elite athlete. I was number 2 in the United States in martial arts in both fighting and forms. No longer after all of my joint demise. So I can't run, I can't jump, I can't do those things I used to do because it's painful. So I'm semi-fit. I had some atrophy, etc. If I stay semi-fit, I'm going to be happy, but I need to make sure that I stay there. Going down the chart to the left, higher independence. You're booking your own appointments, you're keeping your own checkbook, you don't need help at all. Lower independent may not be able to do all those things. Maybe their spouse does it. Maybe they've hired someone to help them. Maybe one of their family members. And we are going to break these down even more specifically in just a sec so you can see what's happening. Pre-frail and frail doesn't necessarily mean skinny. What it means is they certainly are not able to do a lot of the independent things. They are definitely going to need more help. We're going to look at them physiologically and see how they begin to decline. The frail, definitely needing more help. That's definitely an assisted living. And then dependent, fully dependent on someone. And that is where we do not want to go. So we're going to be looking at these individuals as we move on. So here, breaking them down, reiterating what I was saying. So those elite athletes are in that 1%. All their domains are up to speed. They're playing sports, they're competing, they're great. Those are the guys at the senior games and on. Physically fit, well above average in most of those domains. Semi-fit, that's me, well above average in one particular domain. So I can ride a bike pretty fast, so cardiovascular, not so bad. It's more of leg strength and some of those issues that I'm not so good at anymore. Higher independent, again, average to above average in most of those domains. They may not be super exercisers, light to moderate physical work, low physical demand on their activities, and they can pass their instrumentals of activities of daily living. Like I said, they're keeping their checkbooks, they're making their appointments, they're doing well. Lower independent, average to below in most of those domains. So their balance may be a little off, they might be weak, don't have a lot of endurance, and they're definitely non-exercisers. So we can make them exercisers. Pre-frail and frail. The pre-frail, not quite to that lower frail level, meets 1 to 2 of the frailty criteria. I'm going to talk about those in just a second. High risk of frailty. They can't pass all their instrumentals, activities of daily living. They're not doing the checkbook, those type of things. The frail meets the criteria for frailty. They can pass all of the basic activities, the bathing, the clothing, the eating, but they may not be able to drive, keep a checkbook, etc. So on the frailty, if we wanted to do some type of test or observations or even some questioning, they may have lost 10 pounds or more within the last year, not that they were trying to. So there could be a lot of sarcopenia and dynopenia, loss of muscle mass and weakness. If you were to give them a grip strength test, they are in the lower 20%. And I do find that from a lot of my clients, wow, losing wrist strength, thumb, hand strength. So something to look at. Definitely have poor endurance, as I talked about, very, very slow gait in walking. So if you are FAS certified, or if you work with some of the senior fitness testing, you know that 8 foot up and go, out from a chair, around a cone, 8 feet, and back in that chair. If you cannot do that in 8.5 seconds, you are at a high risk for falling. Someone is considered frail if it takes them 10 seconds or longer. So that might be a test that you could do for them. It's important because you're going to see that they could have problems in a class, and we want to make sure that they're safe. Dependent, they can't pass some or all of their instrumental activities or their basic. So the walking, the bathing, the dressing, they need help. Now, we're not telling you you can't help them. We want to move that dial. So what should your priorities be when working with this individuals in all these different hierarchies? Let's look. So Dan and Cody have done a really good job of labeling these and putting them out. So the priorities for the fit. They have good strength, endurance, and balance. That is a good thing. We want that. Low fall risk. Great, we can do more faster moving in our class. Less likely to have multiple morbidities, so they're not going to have a lot of health issues. High risk, higher risk for musculoskeletal injury. Why? They're going to push themselves. They think they're super fit, but they forget how old they are. So I know, Deb, you're in your latter 50s. I'm 63 now, and I forget. My joints tend to remind me, and Deb's balance and things tend to remind her, but we have issues, not everybody. Higher risk, like I said, for training issues. So be careful with these people. You may need to hone them in. They've got a lot of energy. They're sharp cognitively. So, but they may vary a bit on this. So be careful. Kind of crazy when you think you have to be careful with a fit person. Priorities for independent. So that was the fit, the semi-fit. This is higher and lower independent. So they have muscle weakness. Maybe they don't have loss of muscle mass yet or as much. They are low to moderate risk for falling. So we're starting to move in that direction, but it's not crazy yet. They should be sharp to follow directions, low to moderate endurance. So they're going to get tired. So Dan and Cody in one of their principles says, don't let them sit in a chair if they don't need it. But you might need to have some chairs around. They might need it. Okay, so you need to think about who is in my class, what hierarchy. Good gait ability. They can walk, they can sidestep, they can move around pretty well. That is great, which also tends to go along with their fall prevention. Lot of variance in their physical problems. So you need to find out what's going on. So even in group exercise, if you're not doing PAR-Qs, if you're not doing health histories, you need to ask so that at least people can verbalize what's going on. And they are more at a lower risk for serious injury with training. They may not push themselves quite so hard. The pre-frail. So we looked at some of the things that you could do to see if somebody was frail. So they're going to have loss of muscle mass and they're going to have weakness. And we're going to look at the Nagi model in a second to say, why is this happening? Hey, I'm young. I had my first knee surgery at 19 and I had a lot of sarcopenia because they put you in a cast back then. So lots of different reasons dealing with pathology and ailment, not necessarily that you're old. Moderate to high fall risk. Okay, that gets my attention because when somebody is not having somebody near them and being checked on, if I've got 60 people in a class and we're moving fast and I have a diversity, this could be a problem. Poor to adequate basic mobility, which goes along with their fall prevention. Adequate gait ability. So again, depending on what I'm doing and how I'm moving, especially if I am putting several things together. Low energy levels, again, may get tired. Lots and lots of different things when it comes to their illnesses and what's going on with them. Moderate risk of serious injury, not because they're pushing themselves, because they have issues. Okay, priorities for the frail. That was the pre-frail. They definitely have loss of muscle mass and weakness. They are a high fall risk. So if you have a pre-frail and a semi-fit person in the same class, they better be doing different things. You need to have some monitors possibly on the frail person. Poor basic mobility and gait. Lots of different issues, multi-morbidity. So they're going to have lots of different physiological and pathology. They may have some cognitive decline. They're not moving as much. When you're not moving as much, when you're not stimulated, you are not going to be challenged cognitively. You have to be active. One of the other things that you need to pay attention to is men, especially if they need hearing aids and they are not wearing them, you're going to set them up for a faster rate of cognition. Same thing with your glasses. So after I took Ryan's certification, now, even though I hated to, I always wear my glasses. Why? I need that stimuli. I need clarity. I need to know what's going on. Low energy levels and endurance. So certainly you cannot push them like you can somebody else. And they are at a high risk of serious injury with training. So that progression has to be perfect. So what are your takeaways from this? Most all major systems will decline with age. I hate to say it, it is sad, but yes, it will happen. And for some of us, Deb and I, which are testimonies to that, and yet we've worked through it, it started at a much earlier age. Some systems will tend to decline faster with age, but not everybody, because it depends on what they've been doing. Remember, genetics is only 25% of all of this aging process. There is a huge variability between these individuals. So it is not their chronological age, it is their functional age. Looking at those 6 dimensions, which puts them into the hierarchy, and it's not the other way around. So you cannot use age as their functional prediction. Lifestyle is a key factor. Genetics is 20 to 25% of it, as I just said. Many systems can dramatically improve at any age. You've got to do the right exercise intervention. We are not immortal, and the biological process will win, hopefully later than sooner. Right, Deb?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay, so why do we get these functional losses and disability? I talked about the Nagi model, and that is such a great thing to look at. We had disease and pathology, which set us up for more of an inactive lifestyle. I mean, Deb, how long were you down? What was the longest period you were down?
4 months.
4 months. Okay, that's a long time. And did your fitness level and everything go down quickly? How old were you?
First time, first time I was 40, second time I was 46.
Okay. And like I said, I had my first knee surgery at 19. I had another one in my mid 20s. I just had a hip replacement in my latter 50s, and on it goes. And every time that happens, I have inactivity. And the older I get, I can't develop my muscle mass as well. I have more pain. Boom, you have impairment. That impairment leads to that functional limitation. And too much functional limitation, meaning that I become dependent on someone or something, which switches me in that hierarchy. I become disabled. That is what we don't want. We want independence regardless. So if we look, and you'll see, you'll go to one organization, there's 5 functional movement patterns, there's 6 functional movement patterns. Cody just put these together and he says, there are 7 functional movement patterns. So you look at this little kid, so dynamic neuromuscular stabilization is a course out of Prague that a lot of fitness people and doctors and chiros are taking. It's one of the formats that Evan Osar practices, looking at real function. Look at a kid. This guy is perfect. His knees, boom, right where they need to be. Ass to the grass, as we say. If I did that, my knees would fall off and I would fall backward. Deb might fall backwards too because of balance issues. Back straight, head in alignment. Beautiful. But he was a kid, and functionally, hopefully you come out correctly. So let's look at some of our basic movement patterns. Hip hinge, or going forward, deadlift, not spinal hinge. Okay, and that's going to take some hip mobility. Squatting, that is a perfect example. So your knees and your hips and your spine have to be working correctly. Lunging, or some kind of single leg movement. Pushing, pressing, pulling. So it was interesting. So Cody and I had a discussion about that. Usually it's rotation. But if you follow Stuart McGill's work and you follow a lot of the principles that the Functional Aging Institute are looking at, hey, maybe we don't want to rotate that spine. Maybe we want to brace and hold that core tight. So you need to be very clear in why you're doing this exercise. And is it a rotational exercise? Are you rotating the spine? Are you rotating from the hip? Or actually pivoting on the foot to get further rotation? So if you have not looked up some of Stuart McGill's work, please do so. It's great stuff. And moving, walking, running, and possibly carrying something, whether you're looking at the farmer's carry or a shoulder carry, because even older people like to carry their grandchildren. So those are the fundamental patterns of movement. Then you always want to ask yourself, is this exercise, why am I doing it? So if something happened, that would be the first thing that I would ask you. Why are you doing this exercise? What's your purpose? You need to know that from some of the slides prior. Really, why are you picking this? Does this really do what it should be? And I am asking that for each particular piece of that hierarchy. Is it okay for that person? Is it okay for that person? Where are those stress points? Usually in the joints. How risky is this for the benefit that this client is going to get? For a fit person, it's probably high benefit. As you move around that circle to the left, this is going to change. That's where the regression comes in. It's not about progression. And is this appropriate for this piece of the hierarchy? And is it specific enough for that individual? And as a group exercise instructor, you got your hands full when you have a huge variety of people and when you have little to no help, large numbers. Yeah, something to think about. So I think it's important that we talk about dysfunctional fitness, because function has become a big thing in our world. And when you really look at function, for example, when people look at the plank is not an exercise. It is a body position. So if you were to go to the dictionary and you were to look up the word plank, square, hard, board-like, So when somebody's on the ground doing the exercise, the plank, are they really in a functional position? And we're going to look at the kinetic chain right after this to really dissect that a little bit more. So it is an exercise performed without regard for an individual's level of stability and mobility through that whole chain. So when we talk about core, it's not just your belly. We're talking from your neck down to your pubic bone, your whole pelvic thoraco canister, that box. And that is a word that Evan Osar has brought into our fitness world. 2 shoulders, 2 hips, and everything in between should be in plank, knowing what muscles you need to work. And if this client's posture has a big deviation, they may need some work on that, because this exercise is now actually doing more harm than good, advancing this concept of dysfunctional fitness. So I really want you to step back, especially in group exercise. Sometimes more is less, and sometimes simple is plenty. So I'm hoping with some of these fun, simple exercises, and there's only one of these exercises that you guys need equipment. Whether you blew up some balloons and brought them for today, doesn't matter. You can grab a ball, maybe your cat, your dog, whatever stuffed animal, and we'll just throw it up in the air. So it really is these days, and Deb and Nikki will talk a little bit about this new normal. What does group exercise look like? Are you teaching group X on Zoom now? I have 7 classes a week, you know, and sometimes I have 30 in a class. The thing that bothers me is I'm not there to spot them. So I have to be extra safe if I'm doing some kind of balance thing and make sure they're near a wall or in a corner or whatever. So we really have to rethink all these. Sadly, we used to just walk into a classroom and rock and roll. Deb and I are old school. We are both school teachers. We came from Group X long ago with lesson plans and things like that. I think it's time for us to go back and be a little bit more educated and a little bit more methodical in our classroom design. Deb, do you have anything to say about that?
Just to echo exactly what you say, I mean, we can no longer just go and shoot from the hip, right? I mean, just like you spoke about the diversity that we have in front of us, you've got to have a game plan for each of those elements, because you never really know what you're going to be faced with. And you may have somebody that was yesterday in a particular capacity and today they're not. So very similarly, you know, I ran 5 miles the day of my first brain hemorrhage. So I went from totally very well fit to pretty dependent, you know, on others. So we all have to be you know, mindful of that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So let's look at this kinetic chain. So important. I'm a Nagi practitioner, which is a posture and alignment therapy program. And we really look at the kinetic chain. We start at the foot. Your foot needs to be stable. So that's why, as I talked earlier, if somebody is really supinated or their foot is super unstable, why are they standing on an unstable surface? The floor is unstable enough for them, and they need to work specific exercises. When Deb and I teach the phages group X, we do some work on the bottom of our feet, and we look at foot stability because it's really important for seniors. We know their calves are tight. By the time they come to me, because I'm a rehab specialist, they are shuffling. There is absolutely no foot movement, no ankle movement. Why? Part of it could be that their calf is extremely tight. They need to do the foot circles and the points and flexes and start working back into good mechanics. They've lost them. When did they lose them? Could have been 50 years ago. Could have been after my first knee surgery. Things change you. You've got to go back and pick them up. I say, once you've had an issue, once you've had a surgery, you need to be rehabbing the rest of your life. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you can put some of that into group X. Your knee is stable. So if your ankle is not as mobile, my friends, and your foot and your knee are supposed to be stable, but that middle piece isn't moving enough, well, either your knee or your foot are going to have to become more mobile. Now we're starting to get a kinetic nightmare because everybody is changing their job and they're not working correctly or together. So it is that synergistic piece. Hip mobility. I'm short. I'm 5'2½". Deb's taller than me. I used to be able to stand beside her, pick up my leg, and kick her in the head. I didn't do that too often, did I? No. Now I'm lucky to kick her in the shin because I have totally lost my hip mobility from all of these surgeries and this arthritis. I mean, sometimes I think like, is this really my body? What did they do to me on the operating table? They put somebody else's legs on me. So it happens. And, you know, at least I haven't lost my sense of humor. I'm laughing about it. I should be crying. So the hip is not as mobile. Ooh, so when I see people on a treadmill, I can tell their hips aren't mobile enough. They don't walk like Marilyn Monroe. You should have little pistons there at those hips. They walk like a washing machine. So their whole spine and their sacrum rotates from side to side. Are you really looking at these people, especially in a group X? And if we're ever in an airport again, holy moly, that is the best place to look at people because everybody is walking, dragging suitcases, wearing flip-flops. I'm like, wow, you will never run out of work, people. And we can do this even in group X, but you've got to sharpen up that toolbox. The cool part about the EGOSCU program, and check into it, EGOSCU, EGOSCUE, we do a lot of work on this upper back. So since I couldn't run anymore, hey, I started cycling on the road on a really low bike. What do you think happened to my upper back? Because of all the martial arts, the push-ups, all of that. Horrible. Your upper spine, which is the largest piece, that's 12 vertebrae, is mobile. Your scapula is stable. We have more shoulder injuries than any other time. Evan Osar is talking tomorrow on the shoulder. I'm going to be moderating his classroom. That might be one you want to go into because we need to know this stuff so we can implement this work into our classes and make sure we're not doing the wrong things either. Shoulder blades stable, upper thoracic back mobile. So I wasn't moving at all. Who do you think took the blunt of that? My shoulder and my lower back, one above, one below. And that shoulder is the most mobile part of your body. But if you don't have the shoulder blades down and in position, you lose some of that stability and we're having a lot more shoulder problems. Get back in the classroom and start learning this stuff so that you can put it in everyday work. So I put a quick picture of that beautiful program design again. So let's kind of bring this all together, huh? Prioritize which area you want to work. And like I said, you're going to see in these exercises, we've listed several domains, which is great, but you may want one as a priority because you want to be very specific in what you're doing. You may want to assess. So even in my group X class, I do senior fitness testing. So we've listed those 6 domains again: neuromuscular, musculoskeletal, cardiorespiratory, balance, mobility, and the cognitive emotional. They all go hand in hand. One affects the other, especially when you look at that Nagi model. So we want to use movements, as you'll see today, that address a lot of these together. And we know that if we multitask, we are doing a better job at working on that cognition. And that's when people fall, is when they multitask because they're not paying attention, they can't switch attention, etc. So if you have not done the Brain Health Trainer, I highly suggest everyone get that certification because it's going to be needed in all of our activities. And you may need to use corrective exercise strategies, which you'll be learning at a lot of these classes over the weekend. So a lot to take in. I'm just a group X instructor. I just walk in the room, throw some balls around. And Deb knows, and anybody's ever been to our classes, I love my PE whistle. Man, I am on that whistle all the time. The good news is I didn't bring it today. Whew, right? Deb
Thank
says,
you.
God. All right, so we've got a good amount of time. Now, what I'm thinking is I'm gonna explain what we're gonna be doing. I'm going to unshare my screen. Deb and Nikki are going to be demonstrating. I will be narrating, and we would love, if you would like, when we're ready, for you to turn on your video as if we're in a Group X class together. No, no audio, so don't turn your mics on, just the camera. And then we'll tell you again when to turn the camera off. So hang in there. So on this neuromuscular, let's look at it. Now, what I want you to understand is for every single slide for these 6 domains, I have used independent. Why? That's like Group X. I'm using the median level. I'm going to talk about regressing it for a lower level, and I'm going to talk about progressing it for a more advanced level. So you always teach at that median level. That is the independent. Higher is fit, and lower is frail. So you can look at that beautiful color collage. We're going to look at motor control, coordination, reaction time, proprioception. All of those things are going to go into it. So let's go back quickly. Let's look at our independent people again. So they have some weakness, and I guarantee you a lot of that weakness is going to be in their legs. So that might be something that we want to focus on. They are low to moderate fall risk. So my mobility can be somewhere in the middle, but if I'm getting too advanced, I may need to pay attention and be careful. Low to moderate endurance. So I may not want them running, or they're going to be pooped out in the first 5 minutes. They have poor complex mobility. What does that mean? When I give them multiple things to do at once, pat your head and rub your tummy, jump up, down, Debbie, then they may have a hard time doing that. So I can't give them too much too soon. You may want to build the progression for them. Good gait, a variance in this group, even though they're our middle group. Low risk for serious injury of training, which always makes me feel better. So this is the neuromuscular category. What are we going to focus on? We're definitely going to focus on coordination, reaction time, dynamic balance, meaning that we're going to be moving and working on that reactive balance, not just standing in one place. Now, Celia, hopefully, I'm not sure what kind of info you got. I don't know if you guys printed out these sheets, but hopefully you have these sheets printed out so that you can follow along, because once I quit sharing my screen, it's not going to happen. So we're going to go to the first activity. So Deb, you guys back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to stop sharing my screen in a minute. So here's the deal. I assume most of you are at home alone. If somebody's with you, that's fine. I don't want you in multiples of 3. So you can't have 3 people, you can't have 6 people, you can't have 9 people. But you could have 2, you could have 4, you could have 5, etc. Why? Because we want the numbers changing. So I have given you guys 3 numbers on the screen. So Nikki, raise your hand. Hey, baby, you're going to be number 1. So Nikki's number 1, and she's going to do 2 jumping jacks. Beautiful. Debbie becomes number 2. She does 2 high knees alternating. Beautiful. Now, that's 1, 2. Uh-oh, who's 3? It's Nikki. Nikki goes to 3. You do 2 alternating reverse lunges. Beautiful. Now, Nikki's 3. Deb becomes 1. Jumping jacks. Nikki, 2. High knees. Deb, 3. Alternating lunges. Boom. Okay, super. Now, I'm going to go off screen, and we're going to look at them, and you guys are going to put your videos on. There's Stacy. Thank you. Anybody else? Hey, Karen. Woo, Sharon. Elena. Oh, we miss you guys. Hey, Beth. So go ahead and stand up. Get ready. We're going to start with 1. Now, what you want to do is you want to try to beat them. So you pick who you are. You're either 1 Nikki or you're 2 Debbie. So pick one of them, and you're going to mimic them, but you're going to try to beat them. So we're going to start out with number 1. Do you guys have your sheets in front of you? Nod your head. No. All right. So can you remember this, or do you want me to call out what to do?
Call it out, Diane.
Okay, I'm going to call it out. So we're going to start with Nikki. So, ready? 2 jumping jacks. High knees and arms. Lunges. Jumping jacks. High knees. Alternating 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 lunges. Good job, guys. All right, so you understand how it goes. Now, what you would do is either make a big poster board or put it up on a screen so they would have this and they would be following along and switching all the time. It is great for the brain. It is great for them to change. It's coordination, reaction time, all of those great things, and very, very simple. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to share my screen because we're going to look at regression and progression. All right, and you guys can just stay standing because we're going to kind of roll. All right, now let's go on and let's look. So what are you going to do? Intermediate, that is your independent people. What if they're frail? You got to regress it. You got to make the exercise easier. You maybe have less reps. You might need to go slower. Maybe they're doing something in a chair. You have to be creative. If they're fit and you want to go harder, make the exercise more complex. So if you're fit on number 1, you're going to do this. You could still stay somewhat with the jumping jacks. Maybe they're jumping off the floor a little bit. Or when they're doing their knee rise, you know, they're going faster. Maybe they're doing 3 knee rises, etc. Your creativity. And guys, we know you're all smart out there. We're just giving you some more thoughtful scientific information to make your work more effective and safer. All right, so we're going to move on to exercise 2. So exercise 2 is musculoskeletal. Now this one's a little more complicated because you will definitely need a screen or a big poster board as we move through this. You have the same problems. We're talking about independent people. They've got weak muscles, low to moderate fall risk, low to moderate endurance, not so serious on injuring them, but let's look at it. You could do strength and power and speed and endurance and mobility, concentric, eccentric, etc., isometric. So we're going to work on power today because we know compared to strength, power lends itself to more functionability. Now, we're not saying not to do strength, but you do need, and we think, oh, somebody's frail, I can't do power. Sure you can, but you have to do it safely. You might be standing and sitting quickly from a chair. I'm not asking you to jump anywhere. I can't jump. I couldn't jump 30 years ago. So let's look at the drill. Now, the activity, in a regular class, we might have you in a group of 4. You can actually have a group of 8. You can do whatever you want. We happen to have a group of lovely 2 out there. So those 2 are going to be in a group together. You might be by yourself. So since we can't hear you, when you're done, we used to have you yell out the word "Dunzo." But now, go ahead and turn on your cameras, girls. Now we're going to have you, so video's on for everybody that's out there. Or not, you can keep looking at the screen. And when you're done, if we can see you, you'll put on this, or let's do this. If you're quiet and you don't want to put on your video, turn on your microphone, but we'll ask you to turn it off in a second. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Adrienne.
Hi.
Hey, baby. Anybody else out there wanting to put their microphone on?
I can turn my microphone on, but I can't see your demonstration people. I can only see you speaking.
Huh.
So
Deb?
Okay,
So, all right, hang on. Let me go to this first.
when
So-
you switch it to me, then were you able to see us when we were doing those little drills?
Yes.
It's
Okay,
stayed-
yeah, when I stop sharing, Adrienne, you'll see her.
Some
sometimes it's on the corner, it says speaker view only, and then you could have the speaker, I don't know, in the corner it shows which one. So I don't know if for that it helps. The speaker view, when you do that, it does show just them.
Yeah, so either you have gallery view or speaker view. You can change that to get what you want. Good idea. Thanks, Elena. So you have an ace, a king, a queen. Each one of those cards is going to represent a certain exercise and a certain number of reps. We've made it relatively easy because we're working with the independent, not super fit. If you draw a 4, then you have 4 repetitions. If you draw a 10, you have 10 repetitions. Jack beats 10, that's 11, queen is 12, king is 13, ace is 14. Now, you're not going to be able to see this. If you did not print these up, then I'm just going to call them out to you. How does that sound? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you guys can see Deb and Nick. Okay, can you guys see them?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're using extra large cards. You can get these on Amazon.
There
They're
we
about $10. It works really nicely because they're easy to see. Trying to see how this goes.
Yeah, so drop that down. It's the lighting. So Deb, you come close.
There you
Okay.
go.
All right.
Diane,
Yeah.
if you pin Debbie's video, then they will be the ones who show up, and then you will see, then the participants will see them only nice and large.
So what am I doing?
You pin the video. So if you hover over Debbie's picture in the gallery view, and then you have a choice to
Like
pin
that.
pin the video, then they will show up in the big screen.
I just pinned them. Did that work?
No.
No, you have to do it individually. You can't do it individual participant.
Ah, okay. Okay.
And this is Tammy. My video won't work. So hi.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Tammy.
You guys would know me, but you can't see me, so you don't remember.
She was with me when we met you guys, so.
Oh, good.
And I'm the
Okay.
lead
Hi,
for the thing in Long Beach. that
All
I'm-
right.
There.
So
Of
does
course.
everybody know how to pin them? Hover over it. There are 3 dots. Click on those 3 dots and you'll see something that says pin video. Click on it.
Yeah, and then Debbie should show up. And yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Cool?
Cool.
All right, good. So, Deb, go ahead and show the first card. It is a 3 of clubs. 3 heel raises, quickly. Next card. It's a 2. You've got 2 full circles holding hands to right or left. So I think, oh, that's right. So you can't touch each other. So make a circle, 2 full circles. Good, new card. It's a 6. We know we have 6 reps. Alternating squat with 1 leg balance. So squat and then come up and balance. So squat, yep. Deb's right, back up, squat, and then come up and balance on 1 leg. Yes, keep going. You have 6 of those. Ooh, we're doing a side lunge. Look at you, girl. It's supposed to be a squat.
Oh, squat. Oh, gotcha.
We're doing variation.
That's okay.
4, 5, 6.
Give me a big number.
Well, I'm gonna cheat.
Oh, it's a queen. 12 jogs in place. Go. So a lot of cognition here. And I'm going to pull an ace, and you have 14 jumping jacks to end this.
2, 4.
There's 3 people in that group. Yay.
Woo.
Finish.
Dunzo.
Dunzo. All right,
Done.
guys. Now, you will be getting a copy of this PDF when you're done. And if you don't, you have our emails. Email me, and I will email it to you. All right, let's look at regressions, progressions, etc. All right, So there you are. So I would put that up on a screen, or I would put that on a big poster board for my clients. They love this drill, and it's as fast as we can go in our little groups. Dunzo. So the intermediate follows that chart. The regression makes the exercise easier. Not as many reps. 14 jumping jacks for the frail might not work, right? So less numbers, less cards, less exercises. Hey, let's make it harder. That was pretty easy for you guys are fit. Make it harder. Change the numbers and the reps so they don't match. So if you draw the number 10, you're not going to get 10 reps. You might get 15 reps. So there's a lot more cognition, a lot more switching, a lot more paying attention that has to go into that drill. So you will devise it according to who the clientele is. And sometimes, guys, if I have a super diverse group, I might have 2 or 3 different cards in which they follow, and they may want to group up in their little groups together. Less fit does this, more fit does this. And the crazy part about it is, even though the more fit group may be doing more reps, they usually win because they're fast and they're fit. So you got to think about it. You guys, the only thing that's limiting you right now is your creativity. We just haven't been using it. So we want you to do it. We know you're smart and we're depending on you. We need you guys out there in the field because none of us are getting any younger. Let's look at cardiorespiratory. So again, the less fit the client is, the more they're going to be doing aerobic activity so that they've got enough breath. The more fit they are, the harder they're going to work, and they could definitely do some anaerobic. So we know they're low to moderate fall risk in the middle, low to moderate endurance. That is somebody that's independent. If they're frail, it's going to be a lot worse, but if they're more fit, they're going to have more endurance. You're going to have to weigh that out. You're going to have to think about that. Poor complex mobility. So if they're moving around the room, crossing over, doing this, could be an issue, and that's independent. And then you think about frail, if one of those are in your classroom. So this is going to allow you to be a much safer and more effective instructor in your group X. And you can take this and study it and learn this and get your teeth into who are these people and what are their issues and what do we need to work on. So on the cardiorespiratory, that is where we asked you to have a balloon. Go ahead and open your videos for us, if you can. Pop on your video. If you have a balloon, if you have a ball, if you have a stuffed toy, even if you're by yourself, you can do this. Now, we had you in small groups of 4. That's not going to work, especially if you're at home. So you're going to have to revise this. So we only had 1 balloon here. Deb's got her balloon. I'm going to make her the picture in just a second. I'm going to call out moving right, left, into the circle and away from the circle. At the same time, you are keeping that balloon up. So Deb, let me stop sharing. People pin her if needed so you can see her. Good. All right, now how many people, okay, you guys got balls. I see balloons. Stacy Lee, do you guys have stuff? Okay, cool. All right, now, those of you by yourself, Deb, just start throwing it up in the air by yourself. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so Deb's by herself for the moment, and she is going to turn a circle to the right by herself. Now she's going to go to the left. Now she's going to go forward inside the circle or towards Nikki. Now she's going to go away from Nikki, go backwards. Okay, good. Now let's put Nikki with her. All right, so you guys back and forth, circle going away from each other, out. Makes it harder. Ah, she had to double dip it. Okay, go into the circle, forward. Yeah, so Elena, you guys can move too. Yeah, go to the right, circle right. There you go. Circle left. Go away. So you got to be more, paying more attention to that balloon, hitting it a little harder. Stay outside, go to the right. Go to the left. And stop. Good job. Could you feel a little cardio, girls?
Heart rate's going.
Oh. All right, let's look at regressions and progressions. We're doing really good. We've got lots of time. Okay, so let's move to the regressions and progressions. How many people do you have? I have no idea. This could be your new normal. 1. How many balloons do you have? Probably 1. If somebody's fit, they can have 2. Move to the instructions that I give you. Keep that balloon up. Regression, put more people in the circle, or don't have them move as much, or have them do something that's not as movable as a balloon, something that's a little more stable, move less. You want to make it harder, smaller circles, more balloons, faster movements, changing quickly, adding more complex movements, crossovers, and all kinds of crazy things, jogging, skipping, hopping. You guys know all this. Sometimes it's nice to just see it, have a little roadmap, and know where to go from there. And we'll have some Q&A time at the end, which is going to be really cool. All right, so on the balance, you know, are you doing dynamic balance? Are you doing stable balance? Sometimes, you know, balance gets a little out of control, especially when we use a lot of unstable props. So Dan and Cody are, and I am, are fall proof certified instructors, where we really are looking at our balance centers of the eyes, of the vestibular system, of the bottom of the foot. Then we look at being reactive and proactive, and we actually look at the strategies that our body goes through not to fall. The first thing is your feet do an ankling, like whoa, whoa, whoa. And I see that on my really old clients and my demented clients that do not even know what they're doing. But here's the interesting thing. Even though they can't remember things, their cerebellum remembers. And Deb can probably testify to a lot of those issues and very intricate practicing. So we know that our last thing that we can do to prevent a fall is to step. The problem with people that are very unfit is that's what they do. They always go to their stepping protocol. They don't know how to ankle. Their ankles are too, they're not mobile enough. They're too tight. Their calf muscles are too tight. They have no idea how to use the hip and how to change the center of gravity. Those are specific drills. So if you have not looked into the fall proof certification, just look at the stuff online, get the book. You guys are smart. You don't always have to have a certification. So we wanted to do a little bit more dynamic fun. So what we're doing is, this is called the dance freeze, or the dance music freeze. So if somebody needs a chair, you can see these guys are near their chairs. They're dancing. We're going to be dancing. Deb and Nikki, they're such great dancers. And I want you doing the wild and crazy. I'm going to turn on the music. You dance while the music's on. When I shut that music off, you stop, and wherever you are, 1 foot off, 1 hand up, and of course, the larger the spread of your appendages, the more out the center of gravity, and you're going to hold that until the music goes on. So there's going to be a little lag in the music, so just listen and follow your music. All right, so turn your videos on. I'm going to stop sharing. Deb and Nikki are bigger. I'm going to start the music. You guys are going to dance. Elena, you love that. I see you, girl. All right, here we go. Hold on. Technical difficulty. All right, let's go. When I look at you, every time I turn around, Freeze. Stay there. Don't fall. All right, let's do it.
It's so white and I feel it's blue. Yes, you know for you, girl. Sometimes
You guys have your feet on the ground. That's no fair. Let's do a couple more. We need this on a Friday night. Woo!
I just don't know. Every time I'm on my nose, when I look out at you, every time I turn around.
Uh-oh, Deb. She's off the camera. Correct. Let's do one more, guys. We need this. Come on.
I'm balanced.
Freeze! And good job, everybody. Woo! Yay! Woo! Nikki, are you pooped?
Just getting ready.
All right, I'm sharing.
It's happy hour in Munster, Indiana.
Woo! Here we go. I miss you guys. Aww. Well, at least we got together a little bit virtually. Okay, how do we make it easier, guys? Slower music, less time freezing. They can even sit in a chair if they need to. And then to make it harder, you dance on one leg, you do bigger movements. You could do partner dancing, but don't touch her. Put on your rubber gloves. All right, so lots and lots of different ways of making it easier and harder. All right, so let's see, mobility. So we're going to go back. So mobility, we talked about walking, we talked about running, we talked about your movement patterns. So here, low to moderate fall risk, that's for independent. So you don't want to having them cut crazy and doing silly things to get them hurt. Low to moderate endurance, so as they're frail, it's less. Good gait ability, but they're all going to be a little different, and you have poor, complex mobility. But that's probably what they need to work on within reason. Fast muscle power, dynamic balance, movement reaction, and some complexity, i.e. arms and legs, moving in different directions. All right, I am giving you 4 exercises. Now, girls, I'm gonna be a little tougher on you because y'all have been here for almost an hour. You have been here for an hour. When you march, so Deb and Nikki demonstrate from your little square. When you march, knees high with arms out to side, bending at the shoulder, they are doing a bicep curl. So girls, when I say march, get those biceps moving. All right, I'm not gonna tell you, I'm gonna say march. You gotta remember the arms. Try it one more time, march. Good, can you guys see them? You can unmute for a second. Elena, can you see them in the square? Okay, I can. All right.
I can see them.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
I can
you.
Yes,
Beautiful.
we can see.
Okay, great. Now, they're gonna do a tandem walk. That means a heel toe. So girls, back up all the way to the table. Now, when they tandem walk, as if they have been picked up by a policeman, they're gonna put one arm out front and touch their nose, and then switch arms as they switch their feet. Now, certainly for a very unfit person, that is going to be difficult, a frail person. They can just regular walk. They can do semi-tandem. They can do in a line. So tandem walking, touching your nose. All right, go back to march, everybody. You got the bicep curls. Do the tandem with the nose, but I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Sweet. All right, back them up. We're doing crossovers or grapevine with arms out to the side, crossing in front as you move. Go ahead. Beautiful. So legs are crossing, arms are crossing. So if I say crossovers, remember you're doing your feet and your arms, cross in front, cross behind. Beautiful. All right, now, the last one is side stepping. You are going to have one hand on your hip, boom, and one hand on top of your head. Well, hello. Now, you're going to be sidestepping, and as you sidestep, you're just going to be switching to the other hip and the other hand on your head. So let me see you sidestep to your right and switch your hands. Yeah, keep going. Just keep going, Nick. You're going to keep going to the right. Now go to the left. So when you sidestep, hand on the hip, hand on the hand. Beautiful. Okay, I am not sharing my screen. Everybody up. Let me see your videos. Beautiful. There you are. All right. So I am going to be calling either marching, tandem walk, crossovers, or sidestepping. Get your arms going. All right. I'll make it easy. Marching. Beautiful. You guys are so smart. Crossovers. Sweet. Do the arms width the whole time. Yeah. Oh, so the crossover, Stacy, but you're going sideways. You're crossing your foot in front and back. You're doing a grapevine. Yep. Sidestepping. I'm a little teapot. Going the other way. Good job. Marching. Crossovers. A lot of cognition going on here, guys. Tandem walking. And do it backwards. Oopsie. Don't fall down. Marching. Great. Nice job, guys. Nice job. All right. So I am going to share my screen and we are going to look at regression and progression. So there you are. Now, how do you regress it? How do you make it easier? You guys know this. You go slower. You make the foot movements very simple. You make the arm movement simple, or you may take out the arm movements and just do the feet. You may have them sit in a chair and just do their arm movements. How do you make it harder? You could have them jogging and skipping and side shuffling with crazier arm patterns. But I actually thought that was hard enough. What do you girls think? Deb? Yeah.
That was good.
And you guys have been practicing. You tell those girls you've been practicing.
2 weeks. She makes us practice every weekend. We have to FaceTime her.
Oh, all right, and the last one, and guys, this is really good. I actually have been doing a 30-minute cognition class. My class is loving it, and to introduce it, I did the clock drill. Why? Because I wanted them to understand the 4 aspects that we're going to be working on. This is the independent group. Once again, guys, this is your median group. They're weak in the legs, low to moderate fall risk, so you can't get too crazy on them. Cognitively sharp. So when we get into the frail, they're not going to be so sharp. Honestly, when I have a group that is not cognitively sharp, I actually put a clock up in front of them so they can actually see the clock, which helps them tremendously. So we are going to be working on memory, attention, and switching attention, multitasking, executive function, and processing speed. So here we go. We're going to I want you guys to look at Deb and Nick. So the first one is a speed drill. Now, I am not going to tell you right foot or left foot. So notice, everyone's standing. Notice that your small numbers are going to be on your right side. So touch 3 o'clock on the right with your foot, tap out. Your larger numbers are on your left, touch 9 o'clock. 12 and 6 are in front of you. You may use either foot you want to go front to back. Small numbers with the right foot, large numbers with the left. So the first one that we're going to be doing is a speed drill. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Your video should be up and running. And there you guys are. Fantastic. Now, I'm going to call the numbers. You're just going to tap your foot out, but get that foot back to home base in the middle of that clock as quickly as you can. Are you ready?
Ready.
Woo. All right. 3, 8. Where's that 8? 2, 11, 5, 6, 2, 7, 4, 12, 10, 5. So there's a little anxiety, there's a little thought that has to go in that, remembering where the clock is. Now, memory, what does that mean? You have to remember what I tell you. What I tell my clients is, say it out loud. We can't hear you anyway. I'm gonna give you 3 numbers. Say them out loud, remember them, and touch them as quickly as you can. Are you ready? Here we go. 2, 6, 9.
2, 6, 9.
Now you're not allowed to talk. All right, here we go.
Example, I won't talk this time.
12, 8, 4. Good job. Leilani, you are moving it. Who's ever in that blue up front too? Woo! All right, good job. All right, here we go. 6, 8, 1. So it's processing speed, it's memory. I'm giving you 4 numbers. 4, 5, 10, 1. Sweet. Guys, stay there, don't move. We're moving on. Executive function. You have to process, you have to plan, you have to organize. I'm going to give you mathematics. That is executive function. Now, hey, listen. If you were a poop mathematic person when you were in elementary school, you're not going to be great when you're older. So any of these issues, if you have ADD when you're younger, you're not going to be able to pay attention when you're older. So we need to also look at those issues. But we're going to be working executive function. I'm going to make it simple addition, simple subtraction. Touch that foot over there as fast as you can. Ready? 2 plus 2. 3 plus 3. 12 minus 6. 12 minus 5. Ooh, that was a hard one. 2 plus 2. 3 plus 8. Good. 10 plus 2. 9 minus 3. So processing speed goes down because you have to think and figure it out. Now, attention. If the number is even, and I always say this looking at association, if it's even, you've done it. Even is kind of a normal thing. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Even, touch the number. So 2, tap that number with your foot and get back. 2. Odd, little different, little strange. You step over to the number 3 and step back. Let me see you do that on 3. So it's a different movement on the odd. Do you understand what I want? If it's an even number, tap it. If it's an odd, step over and step back. Ready? 4, 9, 11, 8, 6, 5, 1, 12. All right. Nice job, guys. Woo! That was not so easy. Not so easy. So let's quickly look at regressions and progressions. Regression, go slower. Keep the numbers closer together. 1, 2, 4, etc. To make it harder, call those numbers faster. Do the math, and once you figure out the sum or the number that you're going to, add the even and odd. So if I said 2 plus 2 is 4, that's even, I tap it. If I say 2 and 3, that's 5, I got to step over, step back. I could give you several math problems in a row and you have to remember them. I mean, it's endless. You guys, again, your creativity and your specificity for the group that you're working with will make that decision. So, Deb, let's see, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay.
Can I keep recording?
Yes, we're going to keep recording. So we just have another minute here, guys. Oops, I do want to share my screen. Sorry, because I want you guys to get our email. Write it down, although it will be in your PDF that you're sent. We are here for you. If you have any questions about anything, Elena knows. She'll text us and email us. All right, so there it is. And again, it will be on the PDF. So write it down quickly. We have like 1 minute for questions. If anybody, turn on your microphone. I will, or see if I can unmute.
I just want to say how amazing that they are, and we're so blessed to have you guys here, and they always get back. They're always there for you, and I think you guys need to do stand-up still, but I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I've learned so much, and I miss seeing you in person, but you guys are just incredible women and just an inspiration, and I just have been in my journey, so thank you for being who you are.
Thanks, Elena. Wishing you the best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So hopefully you guys learned a little bit. You're a little more scientific, a little more focused in on doing your program design. So Deb and I would like to thank you. It's certainly not like being in person. We laugh, we have so much fun, but you know, what do they say? Maybe next year?
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Be safe.
Bye guys, take
Bye,
care.
guys. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you all. Nice to see you. It's been many years, but it's been wonderful to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.